from Australia. It's probably got to be about 11 or 12 o'clock noon tomorrow. And Pam gave me the thumbs up, so that's not bad for guessing. Thanks, Pam. My name's Darcy. Welcome. Thank you for coming and joining us for the next hour to talk about everything you need to know about Calgary before you get here. I'm joined by Linda. I'm joined by Mark, and we're on the HOC together. I'm going to kind of moderate the conversation today. Mark is going to do a good chunk of the talking, and he's going to give you a bit of a tour of our website. We're going to talk about a few slides up front, and we're really here to answer any and all questions that you might have. So we've been generally working around getting through our piece of the material within the first 30 minutes and leaving the last 30 minutes for conversation. So we'll kind of work with those time frames. If you have any questions, there's a chat at the bottom of your screen. Please throw your questions in chat. We will moderate all of those things and make sure that we answer all of your questions. And otherwise, you'll be able to put up your hand and ask questions as well. We'll kind of go back and forth with people that are in the room. We are recording this, and we will show you where this and the other recorded presentations are saved in case you want to go back and take a look at them. I'm going to start by saying we're thrilled about having this conference in, Mark's going to find out, 32 days when we put up that slide. Yeah, we're getting very excited here in Calgary. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to one of our two fearless leaders and co-chairs, Mark Starrett. And Mark, take it away.
Darcy, thanks very much. And let me thank you and Linda right off the top. Darcy is our promotion co-chair, and so responsible for a lot of the promotion work on behalf of the HOC, working very closely with past Sister Governor Amanda Wendt from Australia. Shout out to Australia again. Between the two of them and their entire promo committee have done just a fantastic job of highlighting Calgary. And Linda, who is on our HOC executive and basically keeps Craig and I all organized from an admin point of view. Without her and many other countless people on our HOC executive, we would not be able to have made this 10-year journey. Yes, 10 years since Craig and I launched the campaign to go towards the bid. And we were wonderful, pleasantly surprised that we were asked to co-chair the HOC after we won the bid more than 8 years ago now. So with that, June 21st to 25th is coming up, as Darcy said, 32 days before our opening ceremonies start, but we also have a couple of activities that are going to be happening before our opening ceremonies that we will highlight. I'm the guy on the left, Craig's the guy on the right. Craig is a wonderful Rotarian from the Rotary Club of Calgary at Stampede Park, which meets actually at Rotary House on the convention campus. So you'll be able to see where his club meets every Thursday at noon if you happen to be in Calgary any other time other than the convention. So 3 things from the agenda, really talking a little bit about Calgary. You're already here, basically the philosophy behind Calgary being a wonderful tourist destination will bring you up to date on so many of the things that make Calgary special. Number 2, going through the HOC website, which has a cornucopia of information that you might want to need, signature events, hats, pre and post tours, as well as a lot of other resources to help plan before you get here, and then a final video before we get to questions in terms of making magic all around, as you know, is our theme. For our American friends or Euro friends or anybody else, the Canadian dollar is really, really economical right now, right? It's about $1.40 USD to Canada, about the same for the euro. And that means that most of the activities once you get to Calgary, your food, your hotel, all of your beverages, all of the tours that you may happen to do once you get here, all Canadian dollars. The only things that are in US dollars are signature event tickets and the registration, of course. So very, very good discount to make your dollars stretch further if you are coming otherwise from Canada. So as I said, Calgary, you're already here. And the reason that we say you're already here is because Calgary is a vibrant Rotary community. As part of District 5360, 47 clubs around southern Alberta and western Saskatchewan, Calgary being the major city within our district and the host city for the convention. Lots of Rotary activity going on. We have Rotary Challenger Park, which is an inclusive place for all of the sorry, yep, I'm looking at it as I do it.
Sorry,
And
my
there, no
mouse
problem
went
at all.
crazy.
No problem. And the Rotary Mattamy Greenway, which is the longest urban pathway in the world. Basically bringing together a great pathway system within the city of Calgary and surrounding the city of Calgary that we hope that you'll be able to have some time to explore when you come to Calgary. Where the basically when we talk about the city, it has changed a lot since we last hosted the convention in 1996. We certainly have all of what Calgary has been known for as a Western hospitality city. The Wild West meets contemporary Canada. And what we mean by that is there's so much diversity now in the city of Calgary, so much culinary expertise and arts community, sports, everything that will make a wonderful visit when you come to Calgary. And you're not just visiting Calgary, you're living Calgary. Hopefully, that wherever you come from around the world, you feel like Calgary is at home to you. The Western hospitality, as well as a very diverse population where lots of languages are being spoken, lots of ethnicities are now part of our dynamic in our backyard. Next slide, please. Couple of things that we're proud of in the city. Condé Nast Traveler in 2023 made Calgary the world's friendliest city. We hope to prove that again to each and every one of you from the moment that you land at our international airport till you get to your hotel, at the hotel, and certainly when you get at the convention campus. Big friendly city. Welcoming to everybody. We're the third most diverse city in Canada. Over 240 ethnic origins with lots of activities going on, lots of different languages and culture being celebrated within Calgary, and one of the most sustainable travel destinations. One of the things that you'll know is that all of our C train, which is our light rail transit, runs 100% on wind generated electricity. So we're trying to do our part as well in terms of sustainability as most of you come to visit us. We're known as a safe and clean city. One of the unintended consequences of showing the best to all of our Rotary delegates is that a week before everybody descends upon Calgary for the convention, Calgary and surrounding area is going to be hosting the G7. So I say that that is a wonderful benefit to us because there's a lot of security, lots of cleaning crews all around the city and into the mountains that are in preparation for the very large, significant event that is happening. And as we talked about before, not only do we have no provincial sales tax, but if you have a foreign currency, many of them are worth more than the Canadian dollar right now, making your spending power a little bit more. From a weather point of view, we are known as the blue sky city. We have more sunny days in Calgary than any other Canadian city. It'll also be the day before we open on the 21st, where we're having our grandstand show, is the summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year. And we will have sunshine right up until 10 o'clock at night. We're expecting temperatures to be about 68 to 75 or in the low 20s Celsius in the month of June. Lots of things to do on this slide. It's very busy from an arts and culture, music and plays to a craft brewery scene, to Indigenous experiences that we are going to be highlighting in and around the city and during the convention to be sure, and award-winning cuisine. There's a lot of chefs from different types of restaurants that have come and set up shop in Calgary. It's one of the fastest growing culinary cities in North America with the most Canadian of the top 100 restaurants, fastest growing in the city of Calgary. So lots of food stuff to experience when you get here as well. Next slide. So let's spend some time going through the website now. And as Darcy switches it off this slide to the actual website, we're actually going to be navigating the website. And so just giving you a few highlights, spending a few minutes in some of the categories so that if you wanted to go after the case and spend some time going through it, you'll have lots of things to look for. So the first thing I'll do is get you to go through, I'm looking for fun, because that highlights all of our signature events organized by date. The first being on June 21st, our Grandstand Spectacular, which is a huge event. There's going to be thousands of people in attendance. It is the one event that you're not going to want to miss, and we're not going to be able to sell out. And so we will be taking registrations up until the last second, but you're going to want to be there. We are having this produced by the Calgary Stampede, which puts on every night during the 10-day of the Stampede, the Grandstand show. And a lot of what you would find for $250 Canadian at the Grandstand show, we're going to be doing in our Grandstand Spectacular. So there's going to be drones and fireworks and music and entertainment and Indian relay races. And yes, that's what they call them, the Indian relay races. We often use different words, respectful in terms of our Indigenous population, but they want to be known as the Indian relay races. And just, it's hard to explain other than to say on this page, when you go through this event, every single event that we have has a video, and we just uploaded a brand new video, which actually is more representative of what you're actually going to experience on Saturday, June the 21st. And I mentioned that date over and over again because it's the day before the opening ceremony is happening on Sunday. So you're going to want to make sure that you make plans to arrive for the Grandstand Spectacular on Saturday night and get all of your registration stuff done on Saturday. On Sunday, there's two events, something for everyone, really. The first is Rock in the Big Four Roadhouse, where we're going to be highlighting Rock the Nation, which is 2 one-hour sets of an anthology of Canadian music, starting with Paul Anka right up to present day. And no matter what your taste in music, you should be able to recognize and enjoy and appreciate some fantastic music over the course of that evening, and something totally different. And one of the only activities that is not on the convention campus, 6 short C train or light rail transit stops away from the campus is our Jubilee Auditorium, which is our premier concert venue for live music in Calgary. And we're going to be having the new blood with the Calgary Civic Symphony. So that's basically an Indigenous musical anthology of a residential school survivor. Powerful, well done. We've had Rotarians throughout our district and city that have seen this before, and we're bringing it as special to highlight for the Rotary Convention. The next day on Monday, unfortunately, we just had to announce that sold out, but we have a few thousand people that are going to be attending our host hospitality, where you're going to be matched up with people's homes to go have dinner, or small, medium, large events. And we're even having a group of people going into the Rocky Mountains of Canmore. So there'll be something for everybody, different food, fellowship, entertainment on Monday night. And then Tuesday night, our last signature event is going to be a Western Ranch Showcase at the Nutrient Center, which is right attached also on the convention campus, that we're going to be having basically a Western culture showcase in a very intimate, small arena setting indoors, with horses and entertainment and lots of fantastic program for a couple of hours on that night. So all of our signature events we would recommend that you go to them. They're priced in US dollars just for consistency with other conventions. And so the last thing I'll draw here, and it's special to not only your visit to Calgary, but also to the Grandstand Spectacular, and that's that we are selling world famous Smith built hats. We're not sending any hats ahead of time. So when you go on to this and purchase the hat, number one, it tells you how to size your head, but also it allows you to pick the hat up at the House of Friendship when you arrive in Calgary. And the reason that we're highlighting the white hat is because at our Grandstand Spectacular, we're going to have Calgary's largest white hat ceremony, which is a special welcoming ceremony to visiting dignitaries and friends that come to Calgary, with people like Queen Elizabeth II, Pope John Paul II, George W. Bush, Marilyn Monroe, Bob Hope, Bob Dylan, and a wide variety of others, including all of us Rotary convention goers, are all going to be white hatted at the Grandstand Spectacular.
Mark,
The next, sir, please.
it would appear that Regina Edwards has her white hat already.
Fantastic. Awesome. And I'm sorry I can't see any of that on the screen, but I'm looking at the screen as I'm doing the presentation, but that's awesome. The next thing that we want to highlight is the pre and post tours. And so one of the things that we were proud of is that all of our signature events and our pre and post tours were all available on day one of the signature convention when Calgary registrations open. But since then, we've added new tours. So yes, you can go and find a whole bunch of different tours before the convention and after the convention, 2-day tours, 1-week tours, going to some of our UNESCO World Heritage Site, United Nations World Heritage Sites, trips to the Calgary Stampede that starts a week after the convention, whole bunch of different things. And we have Indigenous tours in partnership with some of our Indigenous tour folks. They're offering special opportunities to experience Indigenous culture and entertainment. And we also added 4 educational fellowship vocational tours. One of the things that we got feedback over the last couple of years at different conventions, and certainly our HOC, is there a way for us to mingle with Rotarians or to have some more vocational educational component before and during and after the convention? And we've tried to do some highlights of those as well. In addition, just added in the last month or so, we have some afternoon tours so that if your spouse or family members aren't interested necessarily in going to all the plenaries or the ceremonies, then there'll be some opportunities for you to take part in some wonderful afternoon tours in and around the city of Calgary. Let's go back to our main site now. And so want to go into the necessities. I'm sure that airlines have already been taken care of, but if you haven't already, we have a couple of discount codes for our 2 major airlines, WestJet and Air Canada. In addition to that, also at the top of this section is the 3rd line, which goes into hotel accommodations. One of the things that you will notice is that we have the official Rotary housing block, which as we get closer to the convention, there's a limitation in terms of the number of hotel rooms that are available, but refresh that every day because there is a lot of movement. When we've noticed over the past couple of months, and we go in and check this multiple times, sometimes in the morning there's 2 hotels available, sometimes there's 9 by midday, and they go quick. And so as people cancel their official hotels, there's a replenishing of the rooms that are available. But because we want to offer so many opportunities, we have links to Airbnb, VRBO, in addition to all of it's called the ARES system, which is all of the hotels available in Calgary and surrounding areas. And the one thing that I'll draw your attention to is just a gentle reminder that only the official RI hotel block has the support of RI if something goes wrong. As our convention chair, Bryn Stiles, from Ontario, Canada would often say. Rotarians are well traveled, so they don't always need the backing of the Rotary block. If you can get a good room or a decent price, lots of different price points in all of those areas, to be sure. One of the last things I want to talk about is I want to serve. So down there on a couple of things. Number one is everybody that comes to a convention often, they want the opportunity to volunteer. And we are still accepting, I think we have something like, Linda, do you remember, was it 1,200 or so volunteers that are going to be signing up potentially for multiple shifts over the course of the convention?
Yeah,
a great
1209.
number. 1209. Awesome.
Being recorded.
Let's continue to increase that as time goes on. It's a wonderful way to have fellowship and to meet people. You can sign up for a 2 or a 4 hour shift just to enrich the part of the convention. I'm sure would be awesome for you to do so. And then the last, and thank you, Darcy, for going there, Blue Sky City. I just wanted to end here because Tourism Calgary has been a wonderful partner in the sense that they've provided a microsite of a lot of different things that are available to navigate around the city of Calgary. There's two things that I'll highlight in this section. Number one is that once you register and get your badge, that is your pass to be able to ride free on any Calgary Transit bus or light rail transit for the length of the convention. So that's included in your cost of registration. And then the second thing is that in the email that Rotary sends pretty soon now, one of the things that they'll be highlighting is the RI app, which will go through the official program, but they'll also go through the Tourism Calgary app that you might want to download before you come to Calgary, which will highlight some special savings and to help navigate if you're in a certain area of town, your hotel's by a certain area and you want to know where the restaurants are. The Explore and Save Pass has discounts to a lot of different attractions and local restaurants and things like that. So because there's quite a few people on the call, anything that you think I should highlight, Darcy or Linda? Otherwise, I would be happy to move into our final video. Okay. And then to talk a little bit and get some great Q&A.
I'm going to take you back to the slide deck, Mark, for maybe just a couple of slides.
Awesome. Thank you.
Let's go to that one.
Yeah. So this is a way, so there's going to be a lot of promotion, a lot of changes and updates that are certainly going to be happening in the last 32 days. The best way to stay informed is to go on to our website. It's on the main page about halfway down, where you can put in your name and email address to make sure that you're getting all that time sensitive last minute information. And Darcy, when he sends out the thank you for registering, here are all the links to the videos, he'll also provide an opportunity for you to click a link to register for all of this update. We don't want to bombard people's with emails, but we will provide the links to the social media and things like that. I know we're 32 days and I know there's still a lot of excitement. And even today, we saw that our attendance went up 120 registrations from last Monday to this Monday. So we're still inking along in terms of people promoting the good word of the convention, even though we are getting close. There's a resource on the website that talks about all this different promotional material. If you're trying to talk at your club, or if you're trying to get the club excited while you're in Calgary, maybe they can't come, or maybe you want to do a presentation after you come back. There's a lot of wonderful information here, including some cheat sheets and crash courses that you might be interested in, all on the HOC website, just trying to get you as much information as we can.
All right, Mark, I got a video coming up and then we'll do Q&A.
Awesome.
Oh.
So what are we doing tomorrow?
Happy to take all of your questions. Please, no question is a dumb one. And please put up your hand or put something in the chat and Darcy will moderate for us.
All right, thanks, Mark. Great job with the presentation. So very early in our talk today, there's a question about will this video be posted? Yes, it will. And that last slide that Mark showed before the video, where all of our promotional material is kept, will include all of these recordings from each of the sessions that we've done. So you'll have that there. Mark, you want to comment on hints about procuring Canadian dollars pre-trip?
Yeah, so number one, once you get to Canada and Calgary, there are a lot of banks and currency exchange booths throughout the city. There's one at the airport. They're reasonable in terms of the commissions that are being charged. So a lot of times people will say, arrange for currency at your own bank before you come. But in Canada and in Calgary, and my background is financial, and so we've seen how it's pretty economical, and you're not being taken advantage of. One of the things that we've noticed throughout Calgary as well is that many of the Visa or the credit card terminals now often, if it recognizes it as a foreign denominated currency, many of the stores are hooked up now that'll actually allow you to settle in your own currency. So you actually know what you're spending. And that's kind of a neat thing that is happening in Calgary and many other cities around the world pretty recently.
Cool, thanks. Let's see, there's a couple of questions here around transportation. So maybe Mark, can you comment a little bit about parking at the Saddle Dome
Yeah.
and then maybe talk about the C train?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the C train first because it should be all of our number one mode of transportation. The city of Calgary knows we're coming, and so they're extending trains or having trains come more frequently, just like it's a high season of the Calgary Stampede. So it's being planned to do that. And a lot of the hotels and um, ways to get down to the convention can be done through the C train. Okay. There's going to be limited parking at the convention area. And the reason why is because two reasons, actually. Number one, we're in the process of building a brand new arena. Our last arena was done, I believe, in 1986, so it's long overdue. So there's a big hole in the ground a couple of blocks away from the convention site. But most importantly is on the last day of our convention, one short week later, we have the biggest outdoor show on earth, Calgary Stampede, that's moving in and taking over that entire area that we're going to be a part of during our convention. And so there's a lot of staging that's being done in the parking lots normally surrounding the area. So there'll be a little bit of parking, but the best bet would be to take the C train down or transit down. Very easy to get to. If you're staying in downtown hotels, there'll be a walking path, a short 15 or less minute walk, depending on the hotel you're staying around the downtown corridor. And we're actually beautifying that and putting entertainment. So it's going to be even a shorter walk for everybody taking down there. And that's courtesy of our Rotary Civic Partnership that made that one of their priorities to welcome all convention goers to Calgary.
And just a little tip for those of you that do have rental cars. I live about an hour and a half north of the city, and what we tend to do is we tend to go to a C train station where typically it's free parking. And so we'll park our vehicles at a C train station, ride to Stampede Park, and then when we're done, ride back to our car. So as Mark said, there's a lot of options for you. The C train is going to be very popular. It's very clean. It's very safe, and it's very quick. Mark, Roberts bought tickets for most of the signature events,
Awesome.
and he's wondering if there's specific seating.
No. So the only venue that has specific seating is our New Blood. which needed to be done through Ticketmaster. And so everybody will have assigned seating just like you would go to a regular concert. And that is the new blood that actually our link takes you to the Ticketmaster link. So you do the ticketing all through there. But all the other events are general seating, which is consistent. If it's your first convention, the plenary sessions and the opening and closing ceremonies are the same. And so a lot of people get there early, but in each of our venues, there's no bad seating. Like whether it's the big four, there's lots of sit down places, lots of stand up places. In the grandstand, it's literally one big, there's not one bad seat in the entire place. And like I said, we'll probably end up having 6,000, 7,000 people there, and it's built for 15, but we won't it'll seem full to us because of how we're going to handle the seating, but there's not a bad seat in the whole house. And so getting there early will get your choice of seats. But at the same time, if you're coming from a dinner or something and just getting just in time for the start of a signature event, you won't be disappointed from a seating point of view either.
Great, thanks. Michael's staying at Sate, and
Awesome.
he's wondering if there's a sea train close by.
Yes, there is a C train called the SATE C train station that is literally, and I can't remember where the residences that are going to be the housing for SATE, but I would guess it's less than a 5 minute walk from where you're going to be laying your head at night to where you hop on the C train. And then I think it's so, incidentally enough, if you're staying around SATE Jubilee Auditorium is the name of that C train station, and that's where New Blood is happening. And so 6 train stations away is the convention site. So number one, you may want to get a New Blood ticket because it's right in your backyard. And number two, it's very close to the convention campus.
Great. Can you comment on the hours of registration on Saturday and where that's going to be?
No, I'm going to defer that to Linda because I saw that she put that in an email today that I forget the numbers. Do you remember, Linda? It would
Yeah,
be on, yeah.
on Saturday, it opens at 8 in the morning and it closes at 7 p.m. And most of the days it opens either at between 8 and 8:30 and closes between 6 and 7 p.m. on most days.
This is a real life example of why Linda is wonderful, by the way. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate it.
Mark, can you comment a little bit more about the pass, like the LRT pass and the train? Neil was in Toronto and he
Yes.
remembered there being a pass for the train and etc. Is that included in Calgary? And maybe if you can talk about the transportation from the Rotary hosted hotels to the campus.
Yeah, so a few different things there. So number one, whenever we were talking about Calgary Transit, it could be a city bus, it could be that C train LRT system. As long as you're wearing your badge, that is free to come off and on for the entire area. The official RI hotel blocks are divided into 3 areas. Number one, the downtown hotels, which you can hop on a C train. It's 1 or 2 stops, or it's within walking distance, as I mentioned earlier, a very leisurely, enjoyable walk, all on level, no hills or anything like that to get to the convention campus. That's area number one. Area number two are all of the hotels that are very shortly from a C train platform. So it's basically all the hotels in that area will have clear directions on where you go to get the C train and things like that. And then there's a third area, which is all the hotels that are as part of the official block that are in the outlining areas. And it could be not always limited to the airport hotels, but RI has a shuttle service that picks people up from all of those hotels and brings them directly down to the downtown campus. And so no matter where you're doing, and in addition, City of Calgary, you can also get an Uber, you can also get a taxi. The fees in the latest that I would quote is if you're going from the airport to downtown, it's about $45 Canadian from an Uber point of view. And so reasonable costs in terms of doing that. And of course, you can hop on a taxi or Uber at any point in time if you want to as well to navigate the city.
Here's a quick question for you. Do the white hats pack down in a bag for taking back to Australia?
So no, they don't. And the reason why, and I'm going to give credit to Darcy's co-chair, Miriam Mitchell-Banks, who said, why would you need to put it in your suitcase when you're going to wear it on the plane at home to tell everybody where you've been and where you're coming from as a Rotary? It's a great conversation starter on your journey home.
Good. That's a good answer. How do you get a schedule for the shuttle service?
So the shuttle service schedule will be promoted at each of the official hotels who arrive. So it'll be clearly announced on there, as well as in previous conventions, we've also seen that at the downtown campus where the buses are picking up at the location, they will be showing how often. And I believe the last bus leaves at about, Linda, do you know this as well from our previous discussions? Is it around 6:30 at night?
7:30, I believe.
7:30. Okay. So House of Friendship closes at around 6, and the last bus leaves for the routes at about 7:30 at night.
Great.
But there's clear timings and all the buses in that staging area once you get to the campus.
Mark, can you talk a little bit about the Rotary app that has the information on the agenda for the convention, as well as the app's ability for Rotarians to connect?
Yeah, so Rotary has spent a lot of time, energy, and money on this in recent years, and they will be sending out an email. And I believe the title of the email is going to be "Know Before You Go." We kind of stole it in anticipation of some of our activities. But in that email, where they're giving you all that last minute information about what you need to know about Calgary and the convention and when the registration desk is open, things like that, it will also have the link to download the app. And so wait for that email. Every registered convention goer will get that email that will link towards it. Can I pop on? I'm just reading in the chat. There's been a few questions about disability transportation. So very meaningful from our first bid process. It has been extraordinarily important for us to make this an accessible convention. For many of you may, I don't know anybody on this call, but many of you may know that I have a son who is a wheelchair user, a 16-year-old power wheelchair user. And so this is top of mind for our family. What I will tell you is that the BMO Center, first of all, is state of the art, and it is amazing from an accessibility point of view. World-class facility, opened less than a year ago, and we are the first event that's absolutely taking over every square inch of that facility. In addition to that, all the C trains and every single Calgary Transit bus is accessible. Okay, so don't worry in terms of using the public transport. Don't worry about the venues when you get there. There will be seating for you at all of our events. When you get to the Ticketmaster, there's limited seating at the Jubilee Auditorium for wheelchairs. But at the Grandstand Spectacular, at the Big Four, there's an elevator to get to the main area for the Big Four where the concert's going to be. And there's plentiful accessible seating surrounding the Nutrient Center for the Tuesday night event as well. And so there should be very easy to navigate from an accessibility point of view.
Cool. Can you comment at all about people's ability to change the name on a hotel reservation?
So you can do that directly through Merits if it's an official hotel. That's what they are there for. And so I know that we had to give names quite a while ago now in order to be able to secure registrations and things like that. Merits should be able to change the name from one person to the other at this stage. So just contact them. And on the when Darcy was showing the booking for the hotel, there is an email address there that you should be able to link, and they get back within one business day in terms of getting back to you.
Cool, thanks. I think this is a Linda question. I got an email to volunteer, but it says all spots are full. Will more open?
Not a Linda question, I'm not
Oh,
sure.
I thought that was your question.
Unless, did you just close down the volunteers though today? I thought you just closed that down.
What we
To
did is
add more volunteers?
no, people can still volunteer. We just put an update on there saying that people should be getting an email to volunteer and pick their assignments. Maybe we'll take that up with Fareed and see where we're at on that.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
what
Okay.
we know and expect, and number one, that's a wonderful thing to hear if shifts are starting to get sold out. I can guarantee you we have 2 meetings this week, one on Wednesday and one on Saturday, and we already know we need more volunteers. And so if it is sold out and there's people that are still interested, there will be many opportunities to do so. So please continue, and maybe we'll put it, Linda, on the FAQs, just in case this question starts to go up a little bit more.
Cool. Mark, do you know if vendors at the conference, particularly in the House of Friendship, take credit card payments, or will some want to have payments in cash?
No, virtually everybody is going to be on credit card.
Okay, terrific.
And I would say, I believe, I'm not speaking out of turn, that all of the concession as well as the like the beer lines and things like that at the House of Friendship and during the convention, I believe they're all cashless. So you need to use a debit or a credit card.
Okay, terrific. Tiffany is wondering, in addition to what we showed on the website for half-day trips through Anderson, is there anything else that people can be thinking about if they're not attending a signature event or looking for another activity in the
Yeah,
afternoon?
absolutely. So I would think that number one, if you're not going to a signature event, there's lots of food establishments throughout the city that you'll be wanting to do. Within the downtown area, there's the National Music Center, which is our national music museum. There's the Glenbow Museum that has recently reopened after have been closed for 2 years. There's a lot of arts and culture things in the immediate vicinity of the convention, the downtown area. But also, I will refer back to that Tourism Calgary app that Darcy alluded to. All of the city of Calgary's tourist attractions, including those that have discounts. We have the Calgary Zoo, we have the Heritage Park, lots of different things for you, and quite frankly, people of all ages to be able to enjoy a variety of things. There's a lot going on in Calgary during that week that we'll want to take advantage of.
All right, Mark, do you know if there's still, sorry, Jody, there is still an event at the Calgary Zoo. I was going to ask Mark if he knows how ticket sales are going for it.
It is. I don't believe that they're sold out. It's the Beyond Borders event. So for many Canadian American Rotarians, there's an event at every convention. And it's happening at the Calgary Zoo called the Beyond Borders event. And I have not heard any or seen any emails that said it was sold out, and I'm on that list. So I still think that you can go onto the Zone website to get tickets for that. Especially now that home hospitality is sold out. We weren't promoting that event because it was directly competing with our home hospitality event. But now that the home hospitality event is sold out, we encourage every Canadian and American Rotarian in our 2 zones to go to the Beyond Borders event.
Cool. Janet, you were asking about the website for signing up for newsletters. I put it in the chat. It is rotarycalgary2025.org. So it'll be in there for everybody to take a look at and make sure you save to your favorites. Mark, can you comment a little bit more around whether there will be mobility carts to go from place to place at the convention center?
Yes, there will be an opportunity for you to rent a limited amount of those scooters. I know that those are going to be available at there. Um, so it's a catch-22 because my comments about accessibility earlier, one of the things we're proud of is that everything is within a short walking distance from the Saddle Dome, where the opening, closing, and plenary sessions are, to the BMO Center. Literally, it is a 20-step walk from the base of the Saddle Dome to the entrance of the BMO Center, where everything else is going to be going on. But that facility itself, which is going to house all the breakout sessions, all the official Rotary lunches, the House of Friendship, everything like that, it's in that big facility. So there are escalators, there are elevators, but there is a large footprint to navigate from a walking point of view. One of the things that I'll say, and Linda and Darcy saw this firsthand during our many tours of the facility, and I'm kind of not answering your question, I realize that, but there's lots of places to sit down throughout the BMO Center. So whether that's having some fellowship with a convention goer, or just saying, hey, you know what, I need to have a seat and get a break and have a little bit of quiet, there's a lot of free space opportunity within that BMO Center, the convention center, to be able to do so.
Mark, while we're on that kind of a connected topic, can you talk a little bit about disability access on the C-Train network?
Yeah, fully accessible.
Okay, perfect. Well,
Full
that was
stop.
easy.
Yeah.
Very good. Denise is coming from Washington State. They're staying in a campground.
Awesome.
And what will be the best place to park to get to the convention center? Is there a link for the C-Train to find a close park and ride?
So number one is, if you are open to it, in the last 30 days, there are RV, and I'm saying this for the benefit of the recording as well, there are RV spots available right on the campus of the convention. So that's something that's very close. We don't I'm trying to think, Darcy, in the way you answered your question in terms of, well, we're bringing a car from out of town and you'll navigate to the C-Train station, park there, and then go down. It's the same answer for our folks that are staying in the campgrounds, but how would we know? Do we have a map on our system that will be able to highlight pretty easily where those C-Train stations are?
We don't have that. Not to say we can't. Denise, in the chat, I dropped in a link to the Camping Life page on our website, which gives you a sense of where all the campgrounds are that we've been working with. And if you were to take that and then kind of cross-reference it with a City of Calgary C-Train map, that would start to give you a sense of where the park and rides are.
But it is safe to say that every single C-Train station has an associated park and ride or grocery store parking lot that is within steps of the C-Train platform.
Yep. And Denise says that's perfect. Thanks, Denise.
Awesome.
Mark, how many people are we expecting in Calgary?
Lots. So by the time we're all said and done, we'll probably have well more than 17,000 people there. It's a weird thing because we have more than 17,000 people that are registered but not yet paid. And so the reason that I'm being a coy with the number is that Rotary in the past has said, at this point in time, very few of those people will convert. Many are coming from currency restricted countries. Many are waiting for visas. But the flip side of that is the number that we have outstanding 32 days before the convention is one of the largest ever that we've had in recent times. And so there's a chance that many of those people could be converting at the last second, which would mean that we're ballooning up our attendance. What I know to be true right now is that regardless of whether it's the amount we have registered today or we go up, there is going to be 2 opening ceremonies that are basically going to be mirror images of one another. Rotary takes a lot of pride in making sure that if you get the first seating or second seating, there's literally no difference between from an experiential point of view. It's the same speeches, it's the same entertainment, it's the same energy that each of those two opening ceremonies have.
So maybe, Mark, this is a good opportunity for you to tell people that come to these webinars, and only people that come to these webinars, about new and exciting things like the Pancakes for Polio breakfast.
Yes, awesome. So early days, we said that we were going to be focusing on signature events. But in the back of our mind, we were also planning a signature experiential event. And last month, we started putting on our website. We're going to be hosting at the base of the steps of the Saddle Dome, just outside the BMO Center, the world famous Calgary Stampede Pancake Breakfast replicated, which is pancakes and fellowship and entertainment. Come rain or shine, we're going to be serving pancakes from 12 to 3. So whether you're preparing to go into the second opening ceremonies or coming out of the first, there'll be lots of people serving pancakes. Lines will go very quickly. We expect to feed thousands and thousands of people over that 3-hour period. And it has the magic accessibility price of free. Our gift to you from the host organizing committee, we're eating the cost of bringing that all to you so that you can really experience some Western hospitality as a gift from our host organizing committee to all convention delegates.
We might use that as a tagline. We're eating the cost, you're eating the pancakes.
Hey, I like that. That's why you're the promotion chair.
Mark, can you talk a little bit about breakout sessions and kind of maybe more so for those Rotarians where Calgary's their first convention? What does a day at the convention look like before the signature events?
Yeah, so I would say that in general, not including the opening ceremonies, which is a full day on the Sunday that goes right into the 2 signature events at night. Every day has a plenary session that is at the Saddle Dome, so steps away. And then after that plenary session is over, people will often make their way to do different things throughout the city, or they'll go to the House of Friendship, or they'll go to the number of breakout sessions that are being planned. What we know to be true is that we had the largest amount of breakout applications ever for a Rotary convention. And that means that we've been able to curate, and it wasn't an easy task for our friends at RI, but Convention Chair Bryn said the quality and the diversity of all of these breakout sessions. And some of them are tried and true ones that you will, in terms of sharing sessions of best practices and stuff like that. But there's some really cool ones too. And Rotary does their best to match up what they think is going to be, from an attendance point of view, to the size of the room. And so there's a lot of diversity of breakout sessions, top quality speakers. The rooms themselves are top notch from a technology and a comfort point of view. It's just going to be a highlight of the convention because there's such a diversity, and generally speaking, happening in the afternoons of Monday, Tuesday, and the final day on the Wednesday morning before the closing ceremonies Wednesday afternoon.
Cool, thanks. So we're about 5 to the top of the hour. We've got a few more questions left. Let's do rapid fire, Mark.
Yeah.
How do we register for an opening session?
So on the opening ceremonies, you will receive an email very soon saying that you've been assigned either to the first or the second opening ceremonies, and that's done exclusively by when you registered for the convention. So if you signed up on day 1 in Singapore or online as soon as it opened up, pretty much guaranteed you're going to be in the first session. And then as those late to the registration will be assigned to the second opening, and there is no ability to change. We get asked the question every year in HOC or RI, we can't change, and they do police it. Meaning that they have a certain number of people that are going to be welcome into both of those. And that's how they've had to organize them in previous years and including this year. Sorry, that wasn't rapid fire, Darcy.
That's okay. Are any meals included?
No. Very little. There's additional ticketed events. I believe they're all sold out in terms of the presidential lunch and things like that. Lots of food options. So Craig and I and our entire HOC learned from the fact that many conventions we go to, two things. Number one, there were limited opportunities for conventions and quality of food. We have concessions at all of our signature events at the House of Friendship, including food trucks that are going to be in a beer garden food truck just outside the BMO Center. So lots of variety, something for everyone, including some ethnic foods from our visitors from around the world or people that just love that type of food. There is a concessions, like I said, at everyone, but there's also lots of restaurants in the area. So no food is included in any of the in any of the events, signature events, or during your registration.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Free cake breakfast. So
Liz, I saw your question about American debit cards not working in Canada. I quickly Googled that because both Mark and I worked in finance, and that question surprised me a bit. I've posted the response in the chat for you. Basically, what it says is that they'll work as long as they're connected to the Visa or MasterCard network. So you may just want to check with your bank before you come up here. We're a pretty card-friendly country, so it would surprise both of us a lot if you weren't able to use your plastic up here in any form.
what we've also heard on
I
Google, though, is
back-
North Dakotans apparently can't remember their PIN numbers. So that's maybe a reason why. Just kidding. And hope to God that there's no North Dakotans. I just picked a random state. Trying to be funny.
I just came back from Montreal, and I know that they use Interac there. Interac for debit cards, and the debit cards here don't work. And that's why I posed that question, because I didn't know if you guys do that as well.
Yeah,
It's a different.
Interact is the national network for debit cards in Canada. So
But also the plus system too.
I'll resist the temptation to make other jokes. But check with your bank, Liz. I'm surprised to hear that. Mark, I got one here for you. Will
Yes.
there be a shuttle available in the evening to return Rotarians from our events to their hotels?
No.
Okay, very good. Will the
We
House
tried. We tried. That's all I'll say. This is
Okay.
being recorded.
Will the House of Friendship be where you sign up for which general session you're in? And just a reminder that
Yeah, general sessions, you'll get an email of which one you are assigned to in like literally the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Robert's asking if there's any security inconveniences to be aware of. For example, carrying backpacks through the convention campus.
No, but there is, and I'm reflecting upon my tour of the Saddle Dome when security, I don't believe there might be some random spot checks for backpacks going into the Saddle Dome. And that has more to do with the security of some of the presenters and some of the speakers that are coming through. But we've been assured that everybody will be safe, and at the same time, traffic will flow quickly.
Is there a recommendation for the amount of cash we should bring either once we arrive or bring with us? We plan to use credit cards, but like to have cash on hand.
Yeah, what we'll find about many Canadians, I'll say in general, is that there's less and less cash these days. So there's very few places that will not take a credit card in even like the food trucks or the random things that you would be purchasing or taxi fare, things like that. My answer would be you don't need to have fanny packs of large amounts of cash if you have credit cards and things like that.
Well, look at Patricia's also having the same problem Liz has with her Chase debit card not working in Canada. So she's got a credit card. That's interesting. I think I've got one more here, Mark. I'm just quickly scanning through them. Yeah, I know Linda's responded to it in the chat, but I'll just maybe flag it here for those that aren't on the chat. We land early Saturday morning. If we come straight to registration, is there a place to store our luggage until we can check into the hotel?
I know that there's going to be places for luggage in the Saddle Dome for, I believe, the closing ceremonies. But I mean,
There is for the opening too, Mark. Shannon
and where
confirmed that.
is that?
I don't know where, but she did
Okay.
confirm that there would be a place for people to put luggage for a few hours.
Perfect. Awesome.
All right. We're 2 minutes after. Good job.
Can I just say to everyone on the call, thank you so much. We are all so much looking forward to seeing you here, welcoming you here. We've had aspirations to have this one of the best conventions ever. And we hope from the time that you land in the airport to traveling throughout the city, we're doing our promotion team, Darcy and Miriam, are trying to do a great job of letting Calgarians know that there's this wonderful service organization coming to Calgary and that we're going to be all around the city. So please smile and welcome, but also to learn more about Rotary, because we have a legacy that we want to let this convention be another starting ground for what Rotary means in our district and our city. So safe travels to all of you. Thank you very much. And Darcy will follow up with email with lots of other videos and things like that that you can make use of to help your planning process go even more smoothly.
Great. Thanks, Mark, for hosting today. Really appreciate you making the time. Thanks for everybody to being here today. Thanks, Linda, for your support. And we're looking forward to seeing all of you in Calgary in 32 days. Take care.